This is your host, Mary Ann Mello, with the Hometown Legends podcast series. And today we have a special guest with us that's straight from Chattanooga, Tennessee, selected by the Phoenix Suns in 1993, Malcolm Mackey. Malcolm, we want to thank you for joining us here today on the Hometown Legends podcast series.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. Your mic, Mello, you're muted.
There we are. Thank you. As Miss Mary said, Mr. Mackey, we appreciate you for joining us here today on the Hometown Legends podcast series. And just to break the ice to get things, loosened up real quick, being that you was a basketball player and we know that, opening music is something that we use or we find ways to motivate us before games start. What did you do to motivate yourself to get focused before a game?
Oh, I definitely did that. I think most athletes do that, wear their headphones and, DMX was my guy, I love DMX. So DMX was my go-to music. Jay-Z too, but mostly DMX. DMX had that, that Rough Rider mentality. So I was, I would definitely listen to him and Biggie. That was my thing before, before the game.
Favorite DMX album?
Oh man, I like it, you pick them, any of them. I loved all of DMX. So I had all his albums. Whatever album was out at that particular time was what I would be going to at that particular time. But he was my guy. That guy seems to get me going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Miss Mary, you were you a fan of DMX or are you a fan of DMX? I should say.
A couple of songs.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
little
Okay.
rough, you know what I'm saying? He a little rough, you know what I mean? He a little
He
rough.
is.
That's the kind of music before you about to go into battle, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
want to listen to that. If I want to just lay back and chill, no, I'm not gonna listen to DMX.
Right.
If I'm with my wife or I'm got the kids around, I may try to turn that down, if I got my kids around. But when I got them headphones on, I'm about to go ahead and play against some other big 7-foot guy. I gotta try to kill, you know what I mean? I gotta listen to something that's gonna get me going.
Now, in high
Speaking,
school, I understand that in high school you won a high school state championship. Is that who helped you get through that?
Well, no, at that time, that was you talking 1988 at that time. So
Okay.
I mean, it was the same process though. That was shoot, man. You bringing up those memories? That's Walkman days. That's Walkman days, man. That's put in. It's the same mentality, same thing though. I mean, we put the cassette tape in and
Right.
you roll with the Walkman and I know who was motivating me then. Who was motivating me then was LL Cool J.
Okay.
LL Cool J
LL
was
Cool
my
J.
guy. LL Cool J was my guy during my Walkman days. He was my guy, and everybody else was second. Everybody else was second, but LL was my guy. And I would say NWA would get me going as well. I can't believe I left out Tupac. That's later
Okay.
on, but yeah, that was LL Cool J. NWA, Big Daddy Kane. That was those days of the Walkman.
Mhm.
The originators of hip hop. That that
Yes,
that
sir.
they in that first era, for
Yes,
sure.
sir, man. Yes, sir. Hip hop people don't know you. Younger people don't know, man. Imagine hearing this kind of stuff, 808 drum beat for the first time. See, it's normal, but hearing that for the first time, you're like, man, what the hell is that? It was different, and it was a different experience, listening to hip hop music and being a part of that culture that we
Right.
claimed as our own, that black culture that we claimed as our own at that time, when it was only us um, that was into hip hop and breakdancing and all that, and people thought it was a quick fad and it was just going to go away. And look what we had now.
Mhm. Right.
Man, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. They thought it was going to be something that people were just going to be doing for a few years, and that was going to be it. People didn't
Mhm.
even, people didn't. Nobody else wanted to really even listen to it. It was looked at as black people music, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? But look at where we are today.
Right. Now,
And
how did
let's
it?
and let's
Go
Yep. No, go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mello. I'm following off of you.
Being at where we at today, let's get to you. Like you said, being a big man, it helps you get prepared. Music helps you get prepared to go battle big man. You know, you one of the best big men in high school, college basketball history. Um, what battling big man? How did that prepare you for life, just mentally, knowing that you know it was going to be a grind every night, and how that's helped you today?
Well, growing up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, man, I grew up an only child, so a lot of people think that you are only child, that you some kind of way spoiled or something like that. No, it was the opposite with me. Being an only child means I had to fight my own battles. So I found
Mhm.
myself in situations where I not only had to take on the person who I had beef with, but then I had to take on a big brother or a big sister or something like that as well. And me, I was isolated a lot, being like that, being the only child, and my family is from Chicago, and we moved south, and so I didn't have a lot of family or people to lean on for to help me with my battles. I was a lady named Mary Sparns. This is you know, a white lady that ran the recreation centers, and I don't know, this lady is, I swear to God, I think she's an angel from God. She worked these recreation centers and dealt with all these black boys, and I don't know how she did it, but she is the key to my success. And she actually took me out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and took me to my first, you know, games and whatnot. And I'm bringing all that up to say is because she made me she made me play up. She made me play against grown men on Saturday mornings. The kids had to go play on the little court, and she made me play with the grown men, and so I always played with older people, so I would get beat up and knocked around a lot by grown men at a young age, and that created the toughness in me as a rebounder, as a shot blocker, and because at those times a lot of the older guys didn't want to pass you the ball, so in order for me to get the ball, I would have to go extra hard, you know, playing against older guys by blocking their shot. That's how I would get their respect, by blocking their shot, getting a rebound, playing defense. That translated to me into bigger things down the line.
Did it feel intimidating having to play against those older men at a younger age?
No, you know, growing up in Chattanooga and coming from those streets, you couldn't show signs of weakness because if you allow somebody to punk you one time, they was going to continue to punk you over and over and over again. So, you know, growing up in those streets and being an only child, I had to stand up, and I had to make a decision if I was going to allow people to punk me, or if I wasn't the type of person that was going to start something, but I had to make sure that you knew that I wasn't the person that was going to allow you to. And was I be nervous? Yeah, I would be nervous inside. Yeah, but I wouldn't show it. So yeah, I was nervous. I think is a feeling that we all have,
Right.
but I'm not going to express it. I'm not going to let you know that I'm nervous. You know, I'm going to make sure that I put on that shield and let people know, because I feel like everybody is watching. So
Mhm.
it was important for me to stand up.
Right. Now, you spoke about fighting your own battles. How was that transition leaving Chattanooga, going down south, moving down south, and now landing at Georgia Tech?
Man, that was for me, that was the best decision that I made. One of the best decisions I made in my life, and it was quite frankly, it was quite easy. I couldn't wait to get out of Chattanooga. It was like, you know, I didn't want to be in the environment that I was in. I didn't grow up in a bad environment. Like, you know, I had a great mother and a great father who both raised me. My mother was a school teacher, and my father worked for the railroad. So I never missed any meals or anything of that nature. But I wanted to get out of Chattanooga because the people there didn't have, I had dreams at a young
Mhm.
age. You know, God put something in me. He made me feel like I always felt different. I always felt like I was different than the people that I was growing up around. I mean, needless to say, I looked different. I was taller than everybody at a young age, but I also felt different and I had dreams. And I
Mhm.
can't remember I think the teacher's name was Miss Johnson, but I like to thank Miss Johnson for giving me an F on a paper that I wrote. I wrote a paper at the beginning of the school year. You was asked to write a paper on what you wanted to be when you grow up. And I said I wanted to play in the NBA. I wanted to be a professional ball player. and she
Mhm.
gave me an F because she said that was not a career, and asked me to
Wow.
rewrite the paper, and that was not something that anyone from Chattanooga had ever done before.
Mm.
And people just didn't have those kind of dreams. That was just something like they played ball in high school, went to a junior college, and next thing you know, they back on the block talking about what they
Right.
used to do, drinking a 40, doing what they used to talk about what they used to do. I had bigger goals, bigger plans, bigger things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be that when I was getting my hair cut at the barbershop, I wanted to be on that TV screen while I'd have all
Mhm.
them talk about me. So they would be in there on Saturdays and Sundays or whatnot watching these games. I wanted to be on that TV screen so they could talk about me. So my
Mhm.
goals of coming to Georgia Tech was, I mean, I ran as soon as I was able to, I was recruited. I was All-American, McDonald's All-American, and I could go into any school I wanted to go to, and I was qualified academically as well. So it was um it was an easy decision.
Right.
Was a city that was it's only an hour and a half from Chattanooga, so my parents could come see me play.
Mhm.
Um, and Atlanta was a thriving city that I felt like I chose Georgia Tech over the other schools, which was North Carolina, NC State, I think University of Tennessee, and Louisville. I chose Georgia Tech because it was in the ACC. I wanted to play ACC basketball. I felt it was the best basketball conference. I wanted to play with and against the best. Kenny Anderson became a friend of mine in Nike camp. For some kind of way, me and him just kind of clicked before we even became friends. Man, I don't know. I asked me why some guy from Queens, New York, and some dude from Chattanooga, Tennessee, become so cool, so quick. But we had a connection, and I don't know what it was, but I think God was working. God was
Mhm.
working something before we even knew what was going on. And
Right.
so and I already knew I was familiar with Dennis Scott. I was familiar with Brian Oliver, and I was like, man, we have a good team down there. But we
Mhm.
go down there. So coming down here in Atlanta was just like, man, it was like, man, if you was in Atlanta in the '90s, man, I mean, it was just really, really special. A special place now, but in the '90s, man, it was just like, man, so much black love down here. I mean, I was the first time I was seeing black people driving expensive cars and not being harassed by the police. It
Mhm.
was like seeing black people with money. Black people were just down here thriving. And I was like, man, even if basketball don't work out, I'm
Right.
gonna be in a city, man, where black people are not gonna be like in Tennessee, where I was from. Black people can't have nice things like that because you're
Mhm.
gonna be pulled over by the cops. You're gonna be harassed. You're gonna be, no one no one had those kind of ambitions to drive a $100,000 car. You know what I mean? No, that wasn't even something that people thought about. But when I came down to Atlanta and saw that with my eyes, I was like, man, I want to be a part of that. I want that
Mhm.
car. I want that house. And so it was easy making that transition.
Okay. Now, you were a part of one of the most legendary college teams in college basketball history, the Lethal Weapon 3. How does it feel knowing you were a part of one of the most college famous teams?
You know, that's a good question. At the time, I didn't think nothing about it.
Mhm.
At the time when it was going on, we were all roommates. I mean, you got to think we was all in one suite. It was Kenny Anderson, Dennis Scott, myself, and Brian Oliver, and we were just having a time of our life. I mean, it was special in Atlanta. And you asked me how I felt. It didn't really dawn on me how special it was until I was coming home from a class. I was coming back to the dorm from a class, and this is now keep in mind now we're talking 1990. I
Mhm.
walk into our suite and I walk into the dorm room and Belle Bill DeVoe is in the dorm and is in there chilling. They in there chilling with Kenny, all of us. We in there. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's when I realized that that people were gravitating to this team in a way
Mhm.
that no one had ever seen. It was better to play for Georgia Tech than to play for the Atlanta Hawks. We were
Right.
selling out every game. It got so big to where we couldn't even play it at Georgia Tech, and we had a
Mhm.
nice gym, but we couldn't even play at Georgia Tech. These guys wanted all the money, so they had us playing down at State Farm. Now it used to be called the Omni right now, and we would
Mhm.
sell that place out. The Hawks couldn't even sell it out. We were selling that place out. So it
Wow.
was seeing those celebrities and seeing those people coming to see us play. And we were in college, and didn't have to have any money because they was so nice to us. Deion Sanders, Dominique Wilkins, and all them. and they just made me feel special. And I mean, it was just a great time, special.
Good.
I mean, like you like Miss Mary saying, you speaking about you was part of one of the most famous, best college teams all time in college basketball, and at that time you had the Runner
Yeah,
Rebels. They run the Fab Five, the Lethal Weapon Three, and like you said, you had a chance to bond even more when you got to campus because you already knew Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver, and Kenny. How was those bonding moments? Like, how close? Like, what drove y'all?
Dennis Scott, Dennis Scott,
Dennis Scott.
Dennis Scott.
Okay.
It was Dennis. Was the leader. Dennis was the man. Dennis was the man. He the one. He was an unselfish leader, calm in demeanor, but deadly as they come. And being a part on the floor, just running up and down the court and setting screens and getting rebounds and doing playing my role. They were so good, man. I mean, it was like, man, it was times where I wanted the ball, you know what I'm saying? But I couldn't say nothing. It was like, man, I ain't getting the ball. I was like, man, these people don't know I can score too. I can do this. I can do that. I can do more than what I'm doing. But
Right.
they were so incredible. I mean, there were times where we were playing, like there was a game against Notre Dame we were playing, and Notre Dame was don't ask me why they was trying to do this, but they tried to press us, and they tried to press Kenny Anderson. I was like, okay, good luck with that. And so that was a play I remember. The ball was just bouncing, and it was 3 Notre Dame players running to that ball, and just Kenny Anderson. And man, he just got that ball on the dribble, man, and did freak them so cold, man, through the legs, behind the back, and those guys just ran into each other. It was such a dynamic play to where I stopped, and it was like, what the, you know what I'm saying? I had to get back into the game and do that again. You know, it was such. We had moments out there where Kenny would make a play, or Dennis would do something, or Brown would do something that was so incredible, and the crowds would be going off, and we would be in a timeout, or we would just say, man, that was a good play, man. That was nice right there, man. I can't wait to talk about this after the game. You know what I mean? But they are the best backcourt. I'm always going to say this. That's the best backcourt in college basketball history. And not just because of the numbers of Dennis Scott averaging 27 points a game in the ACC when grown men were playing. It wasn't no one and done. Cats played all three, at least 3 years. And you got him averaging 27 points a game. You got Kenny Anderson averaging 21 points a game. Brian averaging 20 points a game. And these guys is putting up almost 70 points a game. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. It was something that hadn't been seen since then. I hadn't seen that. I don't know if I know it's been some good backcourts, in the past, but to me, I mean, I don't think it's a better backcourt in college basketball history. And that they was exciting to play. I mean, we was an exciting team to watch. It wasn't boring. It wasn't just playing 4 corners or something like that. I mean, we was running up and down alley-oops, running up and down freak passes, no look passes, behind the back stuff. It was things that the fans wanted to see, and we didn't have a problem putting on that show.
I mean, the great Bobby Crimmins, y'all played for the great Bobby Crimmins. He was able to, I think he was a masterful recruiter. I felt like he was the type of guy that understood personalities and how to bring the right guys together. Would you speak about Coach Crimmins, please?
You said it right there in a nutshell. Coach Crimmins had the ability to walk into a room and basically take the room over. I mean, growing up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, man, I ain't grow up around a whole lot of white people. Definitely didn't see a whole lot of white people coming into the house. That's just the way things were at that time. No prejudice or racism or nothing, but that's just how it was. So when this recruiting process started, and I saw Bobby come in, Bobby came there, and Bobby was always coming to the school, and he came, and my parents, man, my mom is from Southside Chicago. My dad is from East St. Louis. And so from for Bobby Crimmins to come in there and melt my parents like that, it's just an attribute to him as a quality as a man, as who he was and how honorable he was. He talked to my parents in a way that my parents could relate. He made certain promises, and you know, choosing him to play for, he was the kind of coach that I wanted to play for. I loved his style. I loved the way he talked. I loved his New York accent, and I just felt comfortable around him. I felt I felt like he was being real. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't fake. You know what I'm saying? It was obvious that he was real. You know what I'm saying? But he did have tough competition. I mean, Coach Jimmy Valvano also was recruiting me heavily, and I had gravitated to both of those guys and their personalities. You know, Jimmy V, rest in peace, great man too. And but Coach Crimmins, man, just had that. He could talk to anybody on any level, and he's just got that style, man. That white hair coming there, man, and his charisma, the way he talked, and he was honorable. He was loyal to me, and I wouldn't have made it without him.
Okay. Speaking like you said, you guys had it going on. You guys didn't even play your own gym. You played at the Omni at that time. The Hawks couldn't even sell out. You guys were selling out. Deion Sanders was down there, Atlanta, like you said, Freak Nick. Everything in Atlanta was
It
popping
was
at that time.
crazy.
So I'm sure you guys, saw your jerseys and everything, just like the Fab Fives. You said they saw theirs in the school stores and things of that nature. With NIL today, and when you guys came up,
Oh
how
my
would you
God.
talk to us, please?
Oh man, you hurt me right now. It's funny that you say that, man, because I'm working with one of, I work for Mercedes-Benz, so I'm working with one of the Georgia Tech players right now. And we was talking this NIL. And we trying to work through some NIL stuff with Georgia Tech right now or Mercedes. And man, you just think you see, I mean, we was one of the most exciting teams of college basketball history. So as off the chain as everything was in Atlanta, like you said, Freaknik, I mean, just whatever, Warner Brothers hair show. I mean, it was just Jack the Rapper. It was, I mean, just anything and and then it was just a lot of love. It was just love here. People wasn't superficial like they are now. It was just a lot of love. If you was doing good and you was trying to make the world a better place, whether it's in business or in sports, man, you was gonna get love. People was gonna embrace you and they was gonna accept you. And a celebrity like Tupac didn't need 15 security people. He could just walk in here. It wasn't nothing. Tupac could walk into a house party. I mean, you gotta think of all these people watching us. I saw my jersey in Foot Locker. Um, I saw I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated advertising the new Nike Huarache shoe. Great picture I might have had, but didn't get any money off any of that. And I was hurt when I saw my jersey in the I think that was Champs. It was Champs. I saw my jersey and I was hurt to see that, and I wasn't getting any money for that. And but hey, I'm not complaining because it's not. We were. But if it was now, we talking millions.
Right.
If we talking now, you talking millions. You know what I'm saying? So the amount of money, but I'm happy for these kids. You know what I mean? Because this is the way they should be getting paid. I ain't hating on them like that. Maybe a little hate. You know what I'm saying? a little envy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you talking millions, man. You talking about life changing money. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even know, man. Can you imagine us with $1 million in the bank in the '90s doing Freaknik and all? Maybe it's God. Maybe God got a good way of protecting us, because that'd have been a lot to have. That'd have been a lot to handle that kind of money at that time when everything that was going on. I don't know if I'd have been ready to handle that at 19, 20 years old.
Right. Well, what is some advice that you want to share with those that are trying to acquire NIL deals right now?
I think that, take it seriously. Get you a marketing team. Try to advance as much as you can in that. But if it was me, if I was coming out of Chattanooga, I wouldn't even play basketball in a city unless it was a major city. I would want to go to a major city if it was me. And then, because I'd be talking about using that NIL, advertisement and the exposure that I was getting, because more than likely you're not going pro. People you dream of going pro, but you gotta be thinking like, what if I don't? So I will be thinking about how can I use this after I'm done playing basketball for the university.
Mhm.
Because most of the time, once your basketball career is over, the university is done with you. So you
Right.
got to be able to make that transition and to be able to have those followers, that many followers and things of that nature. Like, for example, let's say one of the young guys at Georgia Tech, he's done playing ball and he wanted to get in my business and he's in sales or whatever, or he
Mhm.
wants to go into real estate or he wants to do this and that. He'd be able to use his platform and all of
Mhm.
his followers to market himself. So
Right.
I think that you got to be thinking about how you're going to use this after you're done playing the sport, because you'll be in a situation to whatever you choose to do. Me, I love sales. So I think it's perfect for sales because you can go right into that, and then whatever you choose to sell, you know what I mean, you already have 200, 300, 400, 500, whatever followers to be
Mhm.
able to market yourself. So I think it's great.
And I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, if you use the right way, but you got to have a plan for it. It can't be just about drinking and hanging
Mhm.
out and this,
Mhm.
that, and that. You gotta be thinking like, okay, I'm gonna get into this type of field. I'm gonna get into that. And I think you can control your own destiny. Because if you got, let's say you were Mercedes and you were in sales, I mean, and you got 500,000 followers, 200,000 followers, man, that's going to help you.
Mhm.
If you did something as simple as real estate, that's going to help you. I mean, that's going to help you whenever you go to any interview with any company. You're able to go to that company in the job interview and say, hey, I got 300,000 followers. How many people you got coming in here that's going to job interview that got 300,000 followers?
Right.
I'm not, bringing me, I'm an asset to this company. So now you become a true asset to that company now, because ain't nobody else walking in there with that. Before, as an athlete, many, companies love to hire athletes because we understand team, we understand leadership, we understand hard work, we understand working with you when your back is against the wall, being able to perform. Um, but mainly, how to work with others, because
Mhm.
we're in the team. So that's always worked out for us. But then you add in this new NIL and having these followers with that. Oh man, yeah, you good. You know what I'm saying? It's good for the transition. And so I'm happy for them.
It seemed like a lot of companies, Fortune 500 companies, have been taking advantage of the athletes, though, with these NIL deals. They're bringing them in, promising them these monies and the perks and things. But there's been a lot of complaints of athletes not getting any of the promises. What potential do you see where problems with NIL and the promises of money, and how the NCAA will govern this?
Well, man, this is kind of like the wild, wild west right now, man. They just basically just, say, hey, now we just wide open right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a really lot of, it's not organized yet. It's a lot of things that I'm sure that's not working out well. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of the kids that are student athletes that are going to have to end up transferring. I think I'm one of those kind of guys that think like, man, not only the NIL thing, but how you can just jump ship and go to different schools like that. Ooh, I don't know. I'm not real big with that. I mean, I think that a player should be able to play if he goes right in, but to me, it's a little out of hand, because let's say you're a kid that's like, eighth, ninth on the team. You know what I'm saying? You're not a kid that's a starter, or even if you are a starter, you could be a starter. When I signed with Georgia Tech, I knew that was my home for the next, 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I knew that was going to be where I was going to be. That was my home. Make it work. If I do what I'm supposed to do, it's going to be good. But now you can get in there, man. Coach might be like, hey, man, we got somebody. We able to get such and such big man from Texas. He going to come in here, man. What you want to do? Now I got to leave. Now I got to go try to find someone. So I don't like that aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? That part I don't like, of being able to move around teams. And with the NIL not giving their promises, hey man, welcome to the real world of business. I mean, if you're not winning or you're not putting up numbers, they're going to bag out. You know what I'm saying? But if you're putting up numbers, your team is winning, they want to be attached to you. They're going to do anything they can to be attached to you. So it's kind of like, they're not going to just, if you're thinking just because you play for this school and you think that you're going to get $1 million, it's gonna be that easy. Nah, come on, man. It's not that easy to make $1 million, man. Come on, man. That's not gonna happen that way. It's not gonna happen that way. It's gonna be some drama in this. You know what I'm saying? And a handshake is all it is. It's a handshake. Everybody don't have integrity like that. Everybody don't have morals and integrity like that. And a lot of people don't bring that to the table when they're doing business. So you got to understand that and have people around you that's going to protect you.
Right. Well, I want to shift the conversation a little bit from NIL deals and speak about your career playing in the NBA. 1993, you were drafted by the Phoenix Suns. And I do recall you mentioning something about your teacher giving you that F on that paper, saying that you would never make it to the NBA. How did it feel just to prove her wrong?
Man, to me, she was already proved wrong once I went to Georgia Tech. Once I left Georgia Tech and went to Atlanta, my whole world changed.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, so that didn't. To be honest with you, it didn't really. I wasn't thinking of. Well, yeah, I did. I have to admit, yeah, I did think about her. And all the other haters, you know what I'm saying, that said you wasn't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, with all the other haters. So I mean, you get a moment, you get your moment of gratitude, but then now you go back from being a star to being nothing. So I didn't have a lot of time to think about that because right away you right into the NBA, and to be quite frank, I didn't want to go to Phoenix. And I was disappointed of going to Phoenix. I expected to go higher,
Okay.
and forever the reason here or there, you know what I'm saying, I didn't I fell to 27, and I thought I was going to go between 15 and 23
Okay.
to teams that were in better use of my talents.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, you went to Phoenix, you didn't want to go there. That team was super stacked and stuff like that. And you wanted to play. I mean, all ACC, high school state champion, part of one of the best big threes or teams, I should say, in college basketball history. Played for one of the best basketball coaches of all time. Get into the league, you around Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, Dan Marley. Um, what was that transition like though? How hard was that for you mentally, not wanting to be there, but also dealing with you were there?
Man, these kids now today, man, they got it so much easier than what we had. I get drafted to Phoenix. There wasn't no player development. There was no people that was going to help you make that transition, help you find a place to live, help you. I was dealing with Jalen Johnson that plays ball here for the Hawks. He came in and see me to get a car. He got a team of people, man. He got player development people help him find a house, people help him do this, do that. They help him with training. They got the D League where you can, if you're not playing, you're able to still, stay on top of your game and play for the NBA team's D League and be available and be working on your craft and understanding how to make that transition. When I got to Phoenix, it was nothing. Nobody helped me at all. Nobody told me what a gym was. I had to find out what a gym was on my own. I had to go find my own place, my own car, my own everything. Didn't know nothing because when I got to Phoenix, all I had was a duffel bag. Then I come in there and I sign my contract and I get a signing bonus, and now it's time to go out and find where you're going to live. And I was completely on my own. So it was growing up real fast and not knowing what to do. So and then drafted to Phoenix. I'm on a veteran team. I'm on a team where it's veterans, and this is a team that just lost in the finals to Michael Jordan. They don't need Malcolm Mackey. You know what I'm saying? We got Charles Barkley here, man. Now we bringing in AC Green. We got freaking year after that, they brought in We brought in Danny Manning, Wayman Tisdale. I'm like, good God, man. I mean, it's just like that's my position. That's my position, power forward.
Right.
So it's like, man, come on. You know what I'm saying? So now right away, you're lost. I mean, you don't know what it's like to be a pro. I mean, like we started a conversation talking about Lethal Weapon 3. We were teammates, man. We were brothers. You know what I mean? We ate together. We slept in the same dorm room. We went to classes. We hung out afterwards. These are my brothers. You know what I'm saying? I get to Phoenix, man. Hey, man, we got practice hour and a half. Man, everybody gone. People married. They got kids and stuff. They got other things going on. So you find yourself, you're done with your day at 11:30, 12 o'clock. You don't even know what to do the rest of the day. You know what I mean? You have no idea or how to use your time.
Mhm.
And me personally, I didn't have it. Wasn't no player development, wasn't nobody there in Phoenix to help me with that. And I wish I would have had that. I wish I would have had that. I could see the advantages of it.
Mm. Now, being a rookie on a team with all vets, was there any specific vet that took you under his wing and kind of mentored you throughout your rookie career?
Yeah, the one guy that I did have a bond with was Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge was a good dude, man. I used to work out with him, and he's a comical guy, man. Dude's a funny guy, man. But me and Danny Ainge hit it off right away,
Okay.
and I had a lot of love for him. He was one of the guys that kind of told me what was going on, but kind of told me what was going on. So he worked with me more than anyone.
You said Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has a different reputation with a lot of people. A lot of people feel a certain kind of way about Danny Ainge. So for to hear you say that, that's your man, it's respect for Danny Ainge. That's very interesting. Do you
Mhm.
feel a lot of that just comes from the competitiveness that he was just different on the court, going against his opposition, or you just had a better opportunity to get to know him for who he was as a person?
Well, I'm gonna be blunt. I'm a lot like Danny Ainge. I guess that's why we hit it off. I mean, we say how we feel. Danny Ainge is a kind of guy that he ain't gonna hold any punches. If he's saying, Charles, you're fat and out of shape, then he gonna say it. He's not gonna hold back on that, and he's gonna say, man, when I played with Larry Bird, man, Bird came in here in shape. Bird was like this. Bird was like that. This, that, and third. You think he played on those teams with the Celtics in those battles, man? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I used to love hearing them stories. And to me, Danny was just the kind of guy that expected you to be a pro. He had to see your work ethic, your maturity, and he was just 100 and keeping it real. I ain't got nothing bad to say about Danny. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, Danny never told me a lie. He never told me something that wasn't true. He always was 100 with me. He would always compare Charles Barkley to Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. And it was funny how he would say that to me. And he was, man, look, when I look back at it now, it's different when you're looking at something in 22, 23. You're just listening to it. But now I can sit back and look back at it. Man, he didn't lie. He told the truth about everything. You know what I'm saying? And because in all honesty, one of the things I did think about going to Phoenix is I thought I was going to get a ring. I thought that, with Charles Barkley on the team, he was MVP that year before, and they lost against the Bulls that year. So I was like, man, you know what? I ain't want to get drafted here, but shoot, I may get a ring now, man. I'm playing with Barkley, man. If I can get a ring my rookie year, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? That'd be wonderful. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Man, I get there, man. Charles Barkley ain't nothing like I thought. I mean, he was 280 pounds, man. And Charles knew that at 250 he was unstoppable. That he was the best player in the NBA at 250. He knew that.
Mhm.
But Charles came in 40 pounds overweight, hurt his
Mm.
back, and never did get back to that level. If you notice that after that year to the finals, man, he was done. You know what I'm saying? After that, it was played another year. That year was nothing like the year before. And then after that, went to Houston, I think, something like that, and that was the end, pretty much the end. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. And Danny Ainge would speak on that. You know what I'm saying? He used to talk about that. You know what I mean? And I just remember because Danny wanted a ring. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I feel him. I'm all right with that.
What's the greatest advice Danny Ainge gave you as a young player that you would share with young players today?
The advice he told me about what I think I wouldn't say that he was trying to tell me what to do advice wise, but what he would do is that he would talk to me about stories about people, legends. He would tell me stories of legends, and he would talk to me about those Celtic battles and Laker battles and Detroit Piston battles, and he would talk to me about Larry Bird. He would talk to me about Michael Jordan, and so he talked to me about their approach to the game and how serious they were about the game. And he led by more of an example. But I loved hearing those stories because I watched those games and I admired those people. And he just told me the stars, and he co-signed on these people. And I would just say, he had my back, man. I mean, he also told me it's about relationships. I would say that. I would say relationships. And I was a young 23-year-old at the time, and I didn't understand that. That was about relationships, and I regret that. This is before Tiger Woods. Danny Ainge used to try to get me to go out and play golf with him and the general manager and stuff like that. And I was a young black kid from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Man, I ain't playing no damn golf. I ain't, nah, man. Then I'll catch up with you later, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. Man, I should have been doing that. I should have been going there. I should have been going to those golf. I should have been doing that. It's not like I'm still at Georgia Tech. You know what I'm saying? If you gotta learn how to. I always didn't think that I needed the brown nose. My basketball game would give me the chance, and I'll show you what I do. My attitude was like that. If you ain't giving me the chance, then I'm pissed. That's just how I felt. I felt like I was being treated wrong. I felt like, oh man, this ain't right, man. You're supposed to play me. My attitude was more rebellious like that. But what Danny was trying to do is show me the business aspect of it, like the relationships. So it's no surprise to me to see him and what he's doing now. Yeah, that's not a surprise at all because he understood that. You know what I mean? He understood going to play golf with these guys, having lunches and dinners with these guys and stuff like that. I didn't. I wasn't polished like that at that time. I was just a kid from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was just a kid that hadn't been exposed to that kind of stuff. I had never even walked foot in a country club before. Didn't even know what that was, really. In fact, growing up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you wasn't even allowed in these places. You know what I'm saying? So I had a different mindset when it came to that. I mean, from where I come from, man, black people didn't start playing golf until Tiger Woods, and then it became more common because they actually gave me a set of very nice ping golf clubs that I ended up selling. You know what I'm saying? But that goes to show you my mentality at that time was not. I just wasn't from that, man. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't from that and didn't know nothing about that. You know what I mean? But Danny was excellent with that. And he tried to get me to do it. He really did. He tried to get me to do it, and I wouldn't do it. I look at it now, man. That's something I should have done.
Now that you spent your time in the NBA, you had a very successful career going across seas. What was the transition like for you from the experience and the knowledge that you gained from the NBA game to going to the international game with you?
Different type of game. It was at the time, just letting you know how everything kind of went down. After I was released by Phoenix and then played in the CBA D League at the time. Finished up the season there, and then the NBA ended up going on lockout, strike or something like that. I had signed a contract with a tentative contract, it was gonna give me money to come in to Philly at the time. And then they went out, they locked out. I had an opportunity. My agent came up with an opportunity for me to go experience playing ball in France. He talked me into it because he said this would be a good opportunity for you to not only get paid. I had just gotten married at the time, had a kid, had one on the way. So it was, hey, I needed to work, you know what I'm saying? So I went over there to France, and it was a pleasure just being able to get back out there and play and get away from all the noise at home. But it's a different game. So, it seemed like everything I did, I was fouling somebody. You know what I'm saying? It was like everything I did, I was fouling somebody, and every move I was making, I was traveling. So it took me, man, about 3 months, man, just to kind of calm down a little bit because their rules were different. Somebody shooting and somebody knocking off the rim. It was just like, whoa, what the, so I had to get used to that type of game. But I enjoy basketball and I love playing. And so that transition was difficult because I had to but I'm the loner. So for me, being the only child, and then my wife wasn't working at the time, we were all able to come in as a package deal. So thank God I was able to come in with my wife and my daughter and just kind of, I had them with me. You know what I'm saying? And when you gotta, no matter how tough things get when you playing in Europe, because everything is on you, all the pressure is on you. You know what I mean? If you don't play well, man, your ass might be going home. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If the team is not winning, you might be going home. So everything, what fair or not, is going to be on you. So what got me through is my little girl coming to the door. No matter how tough my day was, she could care
No.
less about that. She could
Mhm.
care less about that, and she would always be daddy, daddy, daddy. And it was just like, man, you know what I'm saying? Being away from home, being away from the States, you know what I'm saying? Being away from the States. But when you got that going, that was always motivating. You know what I'm saying? That was always motivating to have. And that got me through that transition. But I enjoyed it, man, because now I'm up here and, I'm sitting chilling and there go the Eiffel Tower right there. I'm riding down
Mhm.
the Champs-Elysees and I'm experiencing things from Chattanooga, Tennessee that I never thought I would see. I'm in Chattanooga, man. I did 3 years in France, 3 years in Spain, a year in Greece, a year in Italy. I mean, it was a hell of an experience. I've seen so much in the world and so many things that I don't even talk about, because if you hadn't seen it and you ain't been there, you just can't relate to it. I mean, because not only I wasn't there as a tourist, I was actually living there. I mean,
Right.
I'm a part of the culture. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm cooking. I'm doing
Mhm.
all that. I got care packages. I got my spices and all that. You have to. A lot of cats couldn't make it because
Mhm.
they too Americanized. You know what I'm saying? And you have
Right.
to. I was blessed too to have a good teammate who had already been playing in Europe. So he had gave me the ropes, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, bring your pancake mix over, bring your spices over here, bring this over here, bring that over here. And you're going to have all that here. Bring your own videotapes and all that. So I did all that, and that helped me get through. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because it's psychological, you know what I mean? Being away from the crib and all that. But having my family, having my wife with me, and having my daughter there really got me through.
And that goes to show that a lot of people aren't adaptable, but being that your transition, it was a little bit rocky at first. How did you adjust to the language barrier in the way of coaching, knowing that you did play for various teams overseas?
I tell you, a good question. That's a good question. Basketball is basketball. The
Hmm.
language is the language. The
Okay.
one thing about Europe that's different than the NBA is that the NBA, they don't focus on basic fundamentals. But
Hmm.
when you in Europe, that's all they focus on is fundamentals, 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 fundamentals. Everything was like I'm just learning how to play basketball. I was doing this in high school. I was doing this in college. You know what I'm saying? These were things that you didn't spend time on in the NBA, but that's
Hmm.
all you did in Europe. So that transition was easy for me because I already knew. It's kind of like you going to school studying a subject that you've already taken. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You already took that class. You already know about that. You know what I'm saying? So you're doing it again, but you're doing it in another country with a little bit different. They got a little spice to it, a little something to it. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I learned right away is how good the players were.
Mm.
Man, my NBA guys and friends, I used to tell them, hey man, this dude, such and such and such and such, man, he cold, man. Man, you gonna hear about him, man. Hey man, this dude named Tony Parker, man. He's 16, man. This dude is nice, man. Man, I been over there. It was arrogant with it. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I played against this dude, man. Man, his name is Dirk Nowitzki, man. Hey man, this dude gonna be nice, man. Watch, wait, you'll see. Man, and people just blow it off. I say, man, you know what? And I used to talk to my wife about it all the time. I said, man, these cats are gonna come over to the NBA and they're gonna take jobs. It ain't
Mm.
nothing but what, 30 picks, 27 to 30 picks, whatever it was at that time,
Mhm.
in for the first round. And I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I can see, and they got NBA scouts over here looking at these young dudes. And I'm like, man, these dudes are every bit. I was a high school All-American. This dude is 16. This dude could have easily played with anybody at the crib. You know what I'm saying? No
Mhm.
problem. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, they're gonna take jobs. This is
Mhm.
gonna change, and they're gonna be taking jobs. And these guys ended up coming over to the NBA. Some of the guys that I played against, and ended
Mhm.
up having great careers. And I saw it all over. I saw Sabonis over there, man. I mean, I'm sitting here watching, man. You can't tell me this dude ain't the greatest dude. This dude Sabonis, man. I'm looking at him, man. Look how big this dude is, man. This dude is holding the basketball he's palming the basketball with his left hand, and I'm watching this dude throw a bounce pass with his left hand to a guy that's cutting to the basket from half
Mhm.
court. That's
Mhm.
special. That's
Yeah.
special, man. That ain't something that people do. You know what I'm saying? That's on
Mhm.
some old other stuff. You know what I mean? So their game was different, man. They trained big guys to shoot jump shots over there. Whereas when I was growing up here in the States, I was told to get the ball to the guard and go
Right.
inside, post up,
Yep.
bang, bang, bang. You know what I'm saying? Nah,
Mhm.
they was over there on some like you see Joker playing now. That's how those guys play.
Right.
They gonna pump fake, put it on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Shoot that three, shoot a jumper. They didn't like a lot of that banging at that time, and they was calling that fouls. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's a little different spice to it.
Speaking of that, we have like 10 minutes left, sir. And again, we thank you for taking time out of your day for joining us here on the Hometown Legends podcast series. Let's talk about the NBA today from when you play and from you growing up watching the NBA and having the experience of playing in Europe. Like you said, it's Tony Parker, Dirk Nowitzki, Sabonis. We see Joker. Now we're seeing Luka Doncic doing this thing as well. How much has the NBA changed today from when you played and watched growing up, and how the style across seas to when you knew that those international players were going to be coming to the states?
Mhm.
Versatile big guys. You don't see big guys posting up as much as you know back in the day. Back in the day, man, you just the game is so much. Look how spaced out the floor is now. It's so it's so spaced out now, and you've gotten rid of the big guy who would normally be on the block. You didn't moved him out. Now he's out. Now he's either at the top of the key or he's out in left field somewhere. So that changes everything on the aspect of passing lanes, drives to the basket, and you got to be a shooter. You got to be able to shoot the ball, or you're a liability. Or you're going to have to be a phenomenal defensive player. But it's a shooting league now. It's a shooting league, not just because of Steph Curry, but it's also because of the European influence as well. Because the big guys are, like I told you in the beginning, fundamentals, 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 fundamentals. Whereas here in America, the game has gone down, in my opinion, because of the lack of fundamental teaching. They're not teaching it now. You just got AAU, and they just, man, some dude that ain't never even hooped before got an AAU team. You know what I'm saying? And come on, dude. I mean, and all they do with AAU is just throw a ball out there and put the best athletes out there and just run up and down the court.
Right.
We were spending more time on basic fundamentals, on footwork and things like that. I'm seeing these guys coming out, man. Some of them, I'm telling you, man, will get busted just on simple footwork. Joker is killing cats. Luka is killing cats on footwork. Them
Mhm.
cats ain't athletic, bro. They not jumping high. They not fast. They killing them on fundamentals. It's the
Mhm.
footwork. It's the things that I was taught at a young age. The things that they do every single day since they was little kids, and they being taught the game better. They're
Right.
not doing it over here. America's about making money. So all these kids doing is getting exploited. So
Mhm.
if I can put together an AAU team and I can charge these moms and I can get all this money from these single moms, get these single moms to think that their kid got the next LeBron James, and then I can probably holler at them and see if I can get a date with them too. That's what this has came out to be. You know what I'm saying? This is all about these. This ain't basketball. You ain't teaching these
Mhm.
kids. You ain't helping these kids. You know what I'm saying? These kids need to be going to school or something. How the hell
Mhm.
you gonna play AAU ball but you don't play for the high school? I mean, what? That don't even. AAU used to be the best players. You know what I'm saying, in the area that they play. You had to be invited. You had to be chosen, and then you had a few tryouts. You know what I'm saying? But I think AAU is the worst thing that happened to these kids. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that over in Europe, these guys are coming over way more fundamentally sound. And they
Mhm.
coming over with a different mindset, man. It's real, man. Giannis is real, man. You growing up over there in poverty. You think poverty only exists in the projects in America? No, I can
Mhm.
show you some poverty over in Europe, dude, where the people ain't even got shoes. You know
Right.
what I mean? You can go to a projects, man. Cats got Jordans on. You know what I mean? They got Jordans on, and you in the projects. No.
Mhm.
You go over there, ain't nobody got no Jordans on. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You got cats over there playing basketball barefooted. You got cats over there that don't even have winter coats to wear and stuff like so. Luka looking at these cats, y'all thinking I'm like this and I'm like that, man. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen what I done seen. They done seen wars, bombs, things that we ain't even thinking of. You know what I'm saying? So they not gonna get you. They not gonna get the Europeans on the mental aspect of it, and they gonna kick our butts because on the fundamental aspect of it, the best players in the NBA are from Europe, and it's gonna keep growing. It's gonna keep growing until we get back to teaching these kids fundamentals at a young age. And we're gonna keep on with this mindset of everything is about NIL, everything is about getting paid, everything is about this, getting a sponsor, getting a Nike sponsor, getting a Gatorade sponsor, and getting the Gatorade to give me $100,000, and I put the kids in 6 deep in a room, eating McDonald's, you know what I'm saying, while I pocket all the money. If that's how you run it, if that's going to be American basketball for the future, it's going to be going down. It's going to go down because the kids is just not going to be good enough. The best kids in the NBA coming from the future, to me, is going to be coming from Europe.
Miss Mary, you have the last question?
I don't have any more questions. I think that you've done a great job in answering everything for us.
Most definitely.
Wonderful, man. I enjoy talking about it. I love being able to get my perspective on hoops, because I did experience it all on every level, from high school to college to NBA to Europe to even Asia as well. And just let y'all know, man, basketball is a world thing. It's not just an American thing anymore. It's a world thing, and you got somebody right now in some country that you ain't never heard of that has dreams on coming here, and he's coming. He coming. He coming. He ain't playing. He coming. He's serious with it. He's working on his fundamentals, and he's serious with it, man. Giannis is not playing. You know what I'm saying? These guys are serious, and it's some more coming. Here they come. Get ready. And we got to get off this old glit and glamour stuff, man, with this AAU and this NIL. It's all good and all that, but yeah, let's learn how to play the game first.
Mr. Mackey, we appreciate you for taking time out of your day again, for joining us here on the Hometown Legends podcast series. Continued blessings to you and any future endeavors that you have going on. You have blessed the basketball game, with your knowledge, your wisdom today. Continued blessings, sir. Everyone else, this will
God
conclude.
bless, man. Keep God first. Keep God first. Nothing happens without God. I would have never played anything or been successful in anything if God didn't watch out over me, protect me from injuries or anything. My prayers were answered, and with prayer, a lot of hard work and planning, you'll be surprised at what you can do if you keep that first in your heart and you work hard and you plan. You can accomplish a lot.
The best closing words we've had. That will conclude the Hometown Legends podcast series today. We would like to thank Mr. Malcolm Mackey for joining us today. Continued blessings.
All right. Peace out, man. All right. Bye-bye.